Well, it's been another big week in football, a very big week here in Italy, and especially when we combine Italy and Australia, there's been a very big news story breaking. That's going to be the theme of this discussion. I tweeted it out Italian time in the early hours of Sunday morning. It's a remarkable story which is unfolding here, a potential world first. And just so I get it exactly right, I'm going to give you my tweet word for word. A world first. Again, this is still potential, nothing official yet, but a world first. Serie A have been approached by Australia. This has been a long time coming, but the tweet reads, world first, Serie A strongly considering an enticing proposal from Australia for the first ever match played for points outside of Italy, with Milan and Inter home fixtures likely to clash, of course, with the 2026 Winter Olympics. It's proposed to take place in Perth in February. Now, to my understanding, the 20 current Serie A club presidents, I go on to say in the tweet, were presented the proposal by the CEO of the league, Luigi De Siervo, last Monday. Work is underway to make this happen. So San Siro is going to be unavailable in this period due to the Winter Olympics, especially the opening ceremony, but either side of that, of course, because it takes some time to prepare the stadium for that event and everything around the games. And I go on to say that with Perth having hosted several top clubs in recent seasons, including Milan and Roma last off-season, which was a tremendous success, the picturesque city and world-class Optus Stadium is the prime candidate proposed from Australia. More to come. So let's break that down. We'll start with Serie A being potential world first. It's been an interesting period for Serie A, of course, in the last couple of decades, but Serie A, the undisputed, undoubted biggest, best league in the world in the 90s, going into the 2000s. Fast forward to today, well, not the case. It's very, very evident and clear. The English Premier League has become the number one league in Europe and the world financially, in terms of its football, maybe not in terms of its continental success, but a league which is certainly leading the way. So from this perspective here, a potential world first for Serie A, not the only league which has been rumoured to potentially taking games on the road for some time. We know La Liga has been strongly linked to moves to taking matches, particularly with Barca and Atletico to Miami. Real Madrid have been involved in those discussions as well. The Premier League for years have been flirting, according to reports, with the idea of taking a game away as well. It's a big one here. Serie A could potentially become the first to do exactly that. And with the current situation, given the fact there are the Winter Olympics here in my city of Milan, there is a massive opportunity to take advantage of this, rare occurrence with the Olympics in the city during season and do something about it, which would be something historic for both Italy, Serie A, and of course, Australia as a potential first ever host in football. It's incredible. We have seen, of course, in other sports. We know, especially in the US, NFL, NBA have taken games 4 points on the road. Sure, maybe some objections come to that, which I'll get into, of course, because it must be respected, the other side of the argument. But potential world first on the line there for Italy and Australia. Coincidental for me, my two countries. So it's very cool on that front. Now, let's break down the next part of that tweet in terms of where is the deal currently at. So the club presidents were presented this concept in the last couple of weeks. And where it stands at the present time is that the league, in order to officially approve this deal, it requires 11 of the 20, at least 11, so a majority of the presidents to agree. Now, obviously, I can tell you that Milan and Inter are obviously most affected, given the fact that San Siro is their home venue. And Milan, given the, certainty that they won't be playing in the Champions League next season. Of course, Champions League will fall into the January-February period. They will not be in that competition, meaning they are the likelier team to be involved in this trip to Australia, which also does make sense given, again, the success that they had on their recent trip in the off-season to Perth to take on Roma. 60,000 inside Optus Stadium was very, very special. So with Milan, the likely candidate from Italy, involved, they will require an opponent. I am told that it will be for one official league match. So there are some out there saying it's a whole round. How does this work? 20 clubs. It's not 20 clubs. It will be one match, very likely a Milan home match played in Perth in that period, obviously given the fact that the Winter Olympics are here. Now, for those, I'm sure many do know, but the way that Serie A works with Milan and Inter, there is always one home fixture per round at Sun Siro, more or less, of course, because the teams cannot play both at the same venue on the same match day. So it does become very difficult for scheduling and fixturing purposes there. So it's why that something has to give. And Australia, the government, the Western Australian government have seen this potential opportunity given the success of the tour last season. Now, why Perth? That's a question that keeps coming up. Again, if you haven't been to Australia, you didn't catch an off-season tour, this isn't just a rare occurrence. Australia always hosts many international events, many international tournaments. We know that, but particularly in football, there is a massive football fan base there, firstly. And secondly, Perth, not only Milan Roma last off-season, but in the last seasons, they've hosted many top clubs from across the board in Europe, and it has been a resounding success. There's been a lot of buy-in from the clubs that have come. I know for a fact that Milan and Roma particularly enjoyed their stay and visit to Perth. Last off-season, the government are really on board. They've really welcomed these clubs with open arms, and undoubtedly the support is there. Optus Stadium is one of the best stadiums in the country, if not the world. A brand new stadium. It hosts our local sports, does an exceptional job. The facilities, 10 out of 10. And with that world-class stadium, given the picturesque city that is Perth, it does make it a fantastic venue to host what would be an iconic and historic event for football globally, not only here in Italy. So that's the news. There is, of course, plenty more to it and definitely plenty more to come very soon. But there are two sides of the story, of course, because immediately after presenting that information to, I guess, my community and the wider football public, there are objections and there are things which must be considered, which I know for a fact, of course, the league and all involved are considering. And it's important to address those. I'm very curious and keen to see what fans think. In one side, yes, I've highlighted already the US sports. They have already done it, and it has been a super success. We're in Melbourne, my home city in Australia. We are getting an NFL match in the coming season. It's a remarkable thing. NFL has already gone on the road. NBA has gone on the road. It does feel like it's inevitable. It does feel like it's a matter of time before football does this. So from one regard, why not become the first league to take an official match 4 points away from home? But it does then bring into debate and discussion sporting merit and that side, the fairness for the league. And that has been something I've seen consistently, not only now given this news, but over recent seasons with the Premier League, La Liga and Serie A all, I guess, assessing their options of taking matches on the road. What does that mean? Now, let's just use a couple of examples from Italy. We have, let's say it's Milan taking on Cagliari, just picking Cagliari just as a guess. And Cagliari go to Milan, but that season, Cagliari are involved in a relegation battle. The typical argument against what I'm seeing is that, well, Cagliari, instead of playing Milan in Milan at San Siro, they're going to play what some are labelling effectively an exhibition field match away from home, but in Perth. The return, of course, would be in Sardinia for Cagliari at home against Milan. If there's another rival in a relegation battle that actually do have to go to a sold-out San Siro, play in that hostile environment, is that an issue? Is that a concern? And I mean, yes, okay, it's not fair in terms of the fact that they're not playing 19 matches away from home at the same venue and 19 matches from home, obviously at the same venue as well. But again, inevitably, where football is going at this point in time, I think it's something that will be, as we've seen in basketball, as we've seen in American football, something that just will become a part of the game. We know how strong football marketing has been internationally outside of our respective countries. And again, England particularly have done exceptionally well taking their product and brand outside of England to connect with markets in Asia and Africa and right around the world. And it just does feel like it is a matter of time. So while I do certainly understand the sporting merit side of things, it does feel like we are heading this direction in any case. The other big one, of course, particularly when we talk about Australia, is travel, the time zone. That's going to be a cause for concern, no doubt. And at that time of year in February, Perth is 8 hours difference between the time there and over here in Italy. So what impact does that have on players, on squads, the travel? Obviously, it takes almost a day to fly to Australia. How does that impact the integrity of this season? It will require a lot more travel for these teams who already do enough travel, particularly those that play in Europe. What factor will that play? It's one that will need to be considered. Obviously, there are closer locations, Europe-based, but many have said, why not take it to the US? Because the US, the marketing for Serie A has been there in the US. Well, for me, that throws that travel factor out of the water because it's 8 hours from Milan to New York, which, yes, is much shorter than Australia, but there will be additional travel required. Now, if these leagues want to expand, want to continue to grow, travel will be inevitable. And it won't be a case of, I know for a fact it won't be a case of Milan will play this Sunday evening at San Siro and then next Saturday in Perth. There will be scheduling to ensure that Milan, as an example, and the Cagliari will be looked after given their travel, but it is something that will be needed to be considered, of course, because it's something which could, particularly for the club that maybe aren't so used to consistent travel, it will be something new for them to have to take care of. So, look, at this stage, at this point in time, I do know for a fact that the Western Australian government are the leading bid for a match, a historic match for Serie A to play for official points outside of Italy for the first time ever. There are, though, some other rumoured bids and reported bids. This is one match that we know that will certainly need to be moved, given the Winter Olympics, given the opening ceremony, given the clashes there. But it doesn't mean it will be the one and only. It doesn't mean it will be the first and last. I think this is, again, the sign of where things are headed. Now, we've addressed some of the negative side, but it's not all negative because, again, just rehashing the success, yes, an off-season exhibition match, but the success that Perth had in hosting 60,000 fans, two of the biggest clubs in world football, definitely in Italian football, in Milan and Roma. And given the fact that the Winter Olympics is coming to this city and country regardless, it feels that if ever there is going to be a time, perhaps that time is now. So how that makes Milan fans feel, potentially Inter fans feel, how that makes fans of Serie A in general feel, how that makes purists and traditionalists of football feel, everyone is certainly entitled to their opinion. I have my own opinion, I have my own thoughts, but it's something which it does feel that our beautiful sport is heading in that direction. So the good thing, Serie A become the first ever to do that. Would it be better if another league did it? We followed suit. This is where we're currently at. And I think the Winter Olympics factor is as big a factor as any league has to deal with when factoring in the possibility of taking a match 4 points abroad. So potentially the best time that we'll ever get to lead the way in this modern era of football, this international global era of football. But very keen to hear what everyone thinks because it does feel like it's a sign of plenty more to come. But no doubt more to come on this topic. Stay tuned. We'll have plenty more. Milan on the way to Australia. Serie A going to become the first European league to take a match away from their nation 4 points. Time will tell, but we'll know a lot more soon.
That's all for today's episode. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Plenty more to come on Pitchside Access. Thanks for listening. See you soon.